The bagpipe is one of the oldest instruments. To play it, you blow into a pipe attached to a leather or synthetic bag, then press on the bag to force the air out through other pipes to create sound. You transform this sound into a melody using finger holes on a reeded pipe called a chanter. They start by carving a 20-centimeter long block of wood, rounding it to a diameter of 4.5 centimeters. It's part of a drone, one of 3 on the bagpipe, that create bass and tenor harmonies. They drill a hole that will later become an air channel. Using a lathe and a plastic template as a guide, a craftsman spins the wood to carve it, a process called turning. The lathe has a stationary carbide-tipped cutter, strong and precise enough to cut this hard African blackwood. It's a very heavy and dry wood, perfect for turning. For more intricate decorative cuts, he uses a handheld device called a combing tool. Next, he uses what's called a parting-off tool to make additional decorative grooves. He measures these grooves using a caliper to ensure they meet the specifications of the design. The craftsman drills a hole to create what's called a projecting mount. It's made of imitation ivory and at 5 centimeters in diameter, it fits on the drone like a washer, but it's just for decoration, one of 7 on the bagpipe. He adds a metal component called a slide, also for decoration. Next, he turns what's called a blowpipe. This one's made of plastic to withstand moisture from saliva. Traditionalists prefer blowpipes made of wood. He adds a mouthpiece. It retracts by 20 centimeters depending on the player's height. The player blows into the mouthpiece to inflate the bag. A small metal tube between 2 plastic blades forms the chanter reed. When air strikes it, the reed vibrates inside the chanter, a pipe at the bottom of the instrument that has 8 finger holes for notes and 2 for pitch adjustment. To secure it, the craftsman wraps the reed with hemp string and winds Teflon tape over the string for an airtight seal. Then a brass wire called a bridle to control the shape of the reed. Narrowing the opening produces a higher-pitched sound. The craftsman ties hemstring to create traction between the drone segments, holding them together. Hemstring is especially durable, yet easily replaced if damaged. Here's the completed tenor drone. Next, a craftsman inserts what's called a stalk through the zippered opening of the pipe bag. The pipe bag's made of synthetic, breathable material. The 5 stalks fit through a rubber collar in the bag, attaching to the 3 drones, the chanter, and the blowpipe. The craftsman inserts the chanter through a sleeve in the bottom of the pipe bag. He secures it with string, tightening it around the bag. He closes the zipper to form an airtight seal. Next, he places the pipe bag into a decorative velveteen bag cover. He inserts the stalks through holes trimmed with wool or silk fringe. A rubber valve prevents the player's air from coming back up through the blowpipe, channeling it through the chanter instead. Another part, called a drone reed, acts like a plastic tongue. It vibrates over a long hole to create the bagpipe's humming sound. The craftsman inserts the drone reed into the drone and then into its stalk. Wool cords keep the drones in place while the player plays. Finally, the craftsman fits the chanter reed into the chanter, then slides it into its stalk. A bagpiper must have a strong set of lungs because some songs can run for 20 minutes. Now that's long-winded. The earliest written record of a kite tells the story of a Chinese general in 206 BC who flew a kite over a wicked emperor's palace. He marked the line to measure the distance, then reeled it in. His small army then dug a tunnel into the palace courtyard, launching a surprise attack that conquered the emperor. Today's two-line kite, as the name implies, has two lines to pilot it. It can fly nearly 40 meters high. This kite is made mainly of a lightweight nylon fabric that is waterproof and fade-resistant. It's less than 1 millimeter thick, so it's reinforced with nylon mesh to reduce ripping. The kite's other components include nylon and elastic cords and straps, fittings made of leather, rubber, aluminum, and plastic, and carbon rods. The kite maker starts with a pattern made out of pressed wood. She marks out a piece of fabric and, with a few bricks to hold the fabric in place, cuts it diagonally. In sewing terms, that's called cutting on the bias. This will stretch the fabric and help it fly. Next, she cuts more pieces of fabric, this time in a different color. This kite has 8 fabric parts that fit together like a puzzle to create a 2.5-meter wingspan. The kite's left and right sides are mirror images, so there are only 4 different shapes to cut. They range in length from 25 centimeters to 1.2 meters. From start to finish, it takes one worker about 2 hours to make this model called the Dragonfly. First, the kite maker sews the longest part, called the belly, to the other parts. She double stitches with heavy-duty nylon thread to help the kite withstand winds of up to 35 kilometers an hour. She makes tiny incisions along the belly's curved edge so she can fold it and sew in what's called tension line. Tension line is a type of nylon cord she'll sew into all the seams of the kite's lower sections. It'll give the kite some structure and help keep it rigid while airborne. The kite maker secures each line with a knot, which can later be loosened or tightened to adjust the kite's overall tension. The kite maker uses straps made of very durable yet flexible plastic to line the middle and the edges of the wings. The straps strengthen the kite, enabling it to survive crashes into trees and rocks. After all, what goes up must come down. Next, the kite maker sews a piece of leather called a fitting onto the plastic strap. It's made of leather to protect the kite's structural joints, such as the nose of the kite. It gets a leather patch as well. The kite maker uses a serrated saw to cut the 10 carbon rods to size. They're 6 millimeters in diameter and range in length from 18 to 81.5 centimeters. They form the kite's skeleton, and like bones, they're the most likely part of the kite to break in an accident. But if they do break, it's easy to replace them. A variety of molded plastic, rubber, and aluminum fittings serve a dual purpose. They join the rods together and keep them from falling out of their sleeves. Now the kite maker attaches a nylon cord called a bridle to the fitting that joins the rods on the wing's leading edge. The bridle is the kite's rudder, steering the kite to the left or right. The bridle comes off easily if you need to replace the rods. The kite maker now attaches tension lines to 2 plastic components called arrows. They're located at the kite's wingtips. She ties elastic bungee cords through the arrows to hold the tension lines in place. This makes all the fabric parts taut enough to fly. Next, she attaches the bridle to the center rod, the spine of the kite. She inserts the rod into its protective leather pouch at the nose. She inserts other rods into both sides of the wing. These give the wing its curved aerodynamic shape and help the kite stay aloft. Finally, additional rods under the wing provide more structure and support. These rods spread the kite and help keep it open. In the mood for a sky-high experience? For $250, you can buy a handmade model like this one and go fly a kite.